Hi, my name is Sin Psycho. I've been watching the Sim Standard and Moody and Versus and Apex and all these other guys and Sim F Ball Critic for a while now. Some of you may have seen comments from me underneath Sin Psycho, as well as my old account BDdo. Never been huge on making videos. Really has never been my thing. But Versus makes some really good points in this video. I just wanted to kind of piggyback off of him and acknowledge what he's saying and a lot of it as truth for today, but also show him where a lot of the stuff can be changed in the future because I don't know what his technical background is or anything like that, but I know what my technical background is, and I know that the technology is there to really improve on a lot of these things and change a lot of these things. Um, with some philosophical change in the way that developers approach these games, as well as um, just kind of creating a way that we do things in a different way in general. Now, with my intro being out of the way, I wanted to point out that in the first section, when Versus was talking about difficulty dictating how ratings affect the game and how their intentions are affected as a result. Um, with AI being dictated by the difficulty, it's more so the way that the difficulty dictates what elements to be effective than actually dictating what it should. You could dictate, let's say, reaction time and be fine with real time physics. You could dictate awareness level and awareness to play calling, without it affecting real time physics. So, with those things being said, there's a way to approach difficulty that will allow real time physics to do its job properly without truly affecting ratings, and still allowing a difficulty change, like not as drastic, but if you properly program a football game, it will naturally reflect because gamers are going to be good at what they do, and when you have something like reaction time slowing down, uh, defensive backs' reaction time to something, or their ability to recognize a play and the frequency that they're going to jump a route, that really is more appropriate than having each player on the team always perform at that all-pro level. And you wouldn't have average players doing that on a consistent basis. You'd have guys, like a Troy Polamalu jumping around probably once a game, or jumping a play on easy, and then you'd have twice a game maybe on pro, three times a game on all Madden, and four on all Madden. And that's just an example, and it's a really shitty one at that. You'd probably put some form of probability and random integer in there to kind of allow it and dictate that. But that's really what you want to see from AI in the way that they use difficulty in the future. You don't want to see it dictating, I'm going to put a quarterback at defensive line and have him rated as low as I possibly can. And when it's on all Madden, he's going to dictate. It's going to dictate that he's still going to be able to pancake or use a swim move to get past, uh, Jake Long or whoever the offensive lineman may be. You're just not going to see those things if you go and you do it in a way that makes sense. It's logical. To have it with awareness and reaction time being knocked down rather than having actual skilled abilities be done. Because if you think about the difference between the best players in the game and the worst players in the game, it's not a physical thing, it's an awareness thing, it's a reaction timing. Those are the differences between great players and bad players, or good just average players in the league. It's that reaction time and that quickness to react to it. So that's where you want to see the difference in the way that difficulty dictates ratings and dictates real-time physics in the future. Okay, so the second section, he talked about 22 players with 22 interactions and 22 different skill sets, and the fact that when AI is dictating 21 out of the possible 22 players and their intentions, you can't have a true simulation or a true emulation of football. And he's correct, you can't. That will probably never change. Maybe in the future as more cores come up and there's more independence between them and there's more processing power and what maybe that will become a possibility. But I still think you need to have two separate computers processing the two separate teams. And I think a solution for that is the cloud. And once again, I'm talking about the future. This isn't stuff that's going to happen this year or whatever. This is stuff that in the future definitely could, and not the long future either, the near future, could definitely affect the way that we play the game. And the cloud is a great example of how this could work, because you could essentially have every time you play, and it would require something like Always Online to function properly. And I'm not a huge fan of Always Online either. I just want to throw that in there. But you could have something like Always Online and allow it to connect to a cloud-based system to control the AI. And that AI could probably control, because the computers that they have are far more powerful than any current system out there on the market and any current PC out there, because they have access to equipment that the average consumer can't afford. And probably even if they could afford it, probably have no use for it and no need for it, unless they're doing programming at home. So they have access to this equipment, and there is a push to get internet networks to a point where they can utilize some of this amazing technology. For instance, Verizon just upgraded their entire network at the request of companies saying, hey, if you make a 300 megabyte network that consumers can have, we'll make something that will utilize it. There's nothing that can utilize it right now, but if it's there, we will find a way to utilize that network space and to really take advantage of it. And they're going to do so, and I think that's cool. I mean, there's a strive to do things, and they can create experiences using the cloud and using your hardware at home to interlink together and to interact with one another in a way that would allow the defense and the offense to play separately, to have both teams interacting differently but on one page. For instance, your defense and all 11 players would react and have different intentions, but would be on the same page with the common goal in mind, and it wouldn't detract from the offense and what its intentions are at the same point. And you would have to have these two units communicating very well together, and that would, obviously there'd be challenges to get this to go ahead and happen, but that would allow for a more authentic and more natural simulation of football, or emulation of football, in the future. So today, no, simulation isn't possible because of that, or neither is emulation really, but there is a possibility of it in the future through sources like the cloud and improved hardware that's out there, such as 8-core processors and 6-core processors, with the insane amount of computing power that just my PC has today, paired with something like a cloud-based communication with a remote server that could communicate what they're calling and vice versa, and really create an authentic experience. It's there. It's not. It's there that it's something to start thinking about, but it's not there where it's going to happen tomorrow. And a lot of that has to do with companies, internet companies in particular, upgrading their networks, such as Comcast, such as Cox, such as Time Warner, and all these other digital cable networks. Verizon's been one step ahead of the curve the entire time. Nobody can keep up with them right now, not even AT&T's U-verse service. So I don't think it's going to happen within the next couple of years. Probably 5 years from now, you'll start seeing stuff surface, but it will probably be at a very minimum level. But that will help alleviate some of these problems with the different intentions, but the common goal concept. So logically, there is a way to approach it. We're just not there yet technology-wise, but we will be there soon. Now, in closing, I just want to kind of point out that what Versus says is true for today. We can't do a lot of the stuff today because of our mindset, because of the way that we approach things, and because there are some technological limitations. However, in the next 5 years, as long as we keep progressing down the path that we're progressing down, getting some of these things right now, with animations and interactions between the players, when stuff like cloud-based computing opens up, you will allow difficulty and the different intentions of the different teams to really be realized. And will it be perfect? No, but it will be a much better effect than what we have right now. And this is all cause and effect at the end of the day. What we have right now creates a cause, and the effect isn't what we want. However, we needed if you change the way that the cause happens, you can change the way that the effect happens, and that's really what I'm trying to point out. And this is stuff that maybe is far beyond some people, and some of you have probably turned this off by now, and I don't blame you one bit. However, this stuff is very good that Versus is saying, and we just need to continue not giving up that dream of a true simulator, but also not expecting it to happen right away. Technology-wise, we're light years ahead of where probably anybody thought we would be, and we're doubling and tripling the amount of processing power that we have every year, which is pretty impressive. So, at the end of the day, some of the stuff is possible, it's just not there yet, and we need to look at it that way and say, how can we get ourselves in a position to allow some of this? But we will truly never have a simulation because we'll never have the emotion of the game. We'll never have 22 true different intentions, most likely. I think that might be a possibility when we have an abundance of processing power paired with the cloud and two devices communicating with low latency to create two different goals with 22 different intentions on 11 intentions per goal. I think that could happen. However, it's not going to happen without a philosophical change in the way that things are approached today and in this world. So, thanks for bearing with me for those who have. I appreciate it. I don't care if you like this, don't like it. This is just me kind of responding to him, and hopefully me and Versus can have a pretty good conversation at some point. Because I kind of like to see more about what he's kind of thinking and whatnot, and what he thinks of where I'm coming from with this. So, anyway, have a nice day, and hope you enjoyed.